Hey, welcome. So tonight my technical assistant has gone off to Munich. So we have Rajen standing in tonight. Okay, so let's start in the way we always start, by doing a meditation. So let's sit comfortably and close our eyes and look inside and bring our attention to what is the strongest thing that's happening inside. And keep your eyes closed. Allow yourself to fall deeply inside. And bring your attention to whatever is the strongest thing happening now. This could be some thoughts, could be emotions, could be a body sensation, could be silence. And just bring your full attention to that place. Okay, so take another look. And once again, allow yourself to fall deeply inside. Okay, bring your attention to whatever is the very strongest thing that you discover. And once again, take a new look. This time, give yourself permission to fall deeper inside. Okay, so when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come into the Zoom. So would somebody like to share what happened?
I can share something.
Okay.
Yes.
You're looking surprisingly bright.
Or... it's the lights, the lamp.
For the man who has no trust.
Yes.
Okay.
It is coming and going, this trust. Yeah. So there were hardly any thoughts, but very strong energy flow through the body. And felt like I was hitting a lot of rocks or stones, because with this energy flow there was a lot of emotions coming up, just without external reason, like anger, fear, and something strong body feelings. And yeah, but just this energy flow and hardly any thoughts, just mostly very strong energy. Wanted to release, or wanted to come through, or I don't know.
Okay, very nice. I think you have always, I often say it to you, you have very nice awareness about what's going on. So you spent many years being very critical of yourself. In order to be critical of yourself, you needed to, have a good awareness to see all the things that where you're failing, where you've been failing, So you have a very good awareness. And I think what you're saying about the emotions, if you like, that they're a bit like rocks in the flow of energy. I think this is in a way true, that when somehow something comes, we don't quite know what it is, we don't know really what it's about, and then maybe gradually it will become in the light, so to speak, and you'll see it clearly enough that it will disappear. Without having to judge, you don't have to judge it actually.
Yes, I think I'm definitely less judging.
Yeah. I would agree with you. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good. So I'm happy that I'm so good. Okay, bye.
Okay, somebody else like to share? Okay, Madhu.
Добрый вечер, слышно?
Да.
Ой, Катечка, ты подстриглась? Sorry.
So Madhu is sitting in the south of Ukraine, quite close to the ocean.
Маду находится на юге Украины, близко к морю, к океану.
Море.
Yes.
Да. Сейчас юг Украины тоже холодный.
And right now, even on the south of Ukraine, it's cold right now.
Okay.
Ну, по поводу медитации, у меня такое чувство, что я из нее не вышла. Идет очень-очень такое большое расширение, немножко давит в голову, но, блин, так здорово. Очень.
Regarding the meditation, I still have the feeling that I'm meditating right now, and even I feel a pressure in my head, but I feel very good.
Okay. And what does it mean, very good?
А что в твоем понимании? Как хорошо ты себя чувствуешь?
Мыслей нет. Я очень спокойна и очень тихо, радостно. Вот как-то так.
I don't have any thoughts. I am very quiet and happy inside.
Okay, good.
Хорошо.
Okay. Somebody else?
Кто-нибудь еще?
I might have to volunteer somebody. Everybody likes to share. This is a meeting about sharing, so if you don't want to share, probably don't bother to come next week.
Hello?
Hello, is that Nasaraj?
Yes.
Okay, Nasaraj.
I felt much movement in the belly.
Okay.
And like a missing connection to the heart, you could say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have so much to say. Anything else you'd like to say?
It was also quiet.
Right.
Pretty quiet.
Yeah. Okay. You often tell us that you're pretty quiet.
Yes.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's nice that it's.
So do you find that increasingly in your daily life in the community that you don't have so many thoughts,
Yes.
but generally in your everyday life it's much quieter than it used to be?
Yeah, much quieter.
Yeah.
I mean, I notice this cloud of thinking sometimes very often and much more clear. And I notice that something goes automatically up there, kind of, but I can look at it somehow and not really be identified with it. Just,
Right. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
I think we only have one person tonight who I haven't met for, well, I've met her before apparently, but I don't remember, and that's Iwa. Would you like to share something?
I was in Spain 2 years before or 3 years before, I think.
Right, right, yeah.
And I was once I was also in Köln, in Hittorf.
Ah, okay, right, right, right. So you suddenly remember us again after 2 or 3 years.
I get a newsletter from you, and it was I thought I would like to have a satsang.
You
So
have some. Is there some moment in your life at the present time? Is some sort of special moment?
Not really. I am so busy in my daily life, and not a special moment.
Okay.
It happens really a lot, any time, you know.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
today I felt I have much pain in my shoulder, so didn't I couldn't really meditate. I only feel the pain and
Okay.
some sadness.
Okay. Pain and sadness. Yeah. And where do you live in Germany? You're in Germany, I think.
Yes, I live in Aschaffenburg. It's nearby Frankfurt.
Ah, okay. Right. Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, maybe you're just too busy. You were saying you're very busy at the moment.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. So the pain took over everything. You couldn't really come to something like a silence.
I don't know. The silence is it's always there. It's always there. Some in the deepness, there is always silence.
Right. Right. Good. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's very nice you decided to visit us tonight. We put you on the list for 3 more years. Yeah.
It's my pleasure. It's nice to be with you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay, maybe one more person, and then we'll. Oh, there's Nadini has arrived. Would you like to share something? Oh, you weren't here for the meditation. Nadini, yeah. So we won't ask you about the meditation. So who would like to maybe we'll ask Owen because he's a guest tonight. He's traveled to Munich. How was it in Munich?
God is not so present here in Munich.
Right.
So it was so nice to be in the Zoom meeting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can immediately feel, yeah, just my heart softening and yesing and expanding.
Yeah, Owen has gone to see his parents to see if they would like to donate something for our new project in Spain. And I think that's quite a sobering experience for you. You know?
Yes.
He arrived just in the moment his father was going to sell an apartment for 600,000 or something. And Owen was asking him for 10,000, so about 1% of this apartment. And even that was too much for his rather rich father. Anyway, okay. We don't want him listening behind the door now. But it's very strong, yeah, because I can remember in my own case with my own family, you know, that over the years, as I got deeper involved in, you could say in meditation, or I got deeper involved with one of my teachers, it had a very strong effect on my family, particularly my father. There had been a time when I would call it very close, a very warm, close connection to both my parents. And as far as I was concerned, I never broke that connection. It's true that I didn't always send Christmas cards and I forgot birthday cards. And worst of all was probably, you know, wedding anniversary cards, you know, like when they'd been married 50 years, I kind of forgot that. And so those were sort of major crimes I discovered, major crimes. And our connection never really survived such crimes like that, you know. But they were all things that I'd, in a way, forgotten, and things I was never concerned with anymore. So it felt a bit unfair. They were judging me by me not sending them Christmas cards when I wasn't even celebrating Christmas. You know, when you live in India for 5-6 years, you don't really feel much about Christmas anymore. But anyway, so it was a sort of a sad decline, I could say, over many years. That the kind of warm feeling I had towards my parents wasn't really being reciprocated, or, you know, not so easy. It's not so easy. So maybe it's the first taste for you now, and see how it develops. I remember when you first joined the community, what, 3 years ago, was it?
Yeah, 2 years, yeah.
2 years. I remember at that time we were thinking of buying a house up in, well, a big place actually, up in the countryside near Munster. And you were like so much in love with your daddy, you were saying, oh, I'm sure my daddy would be happy to. And you were asking him for, I don't know, 500,000 or something. And of course, he wasn't so excited about that. You'd only been in the community 2 weeks. Poor old daddy. But now you've been in the community 3 years and you're kind of obviously getting a lot of benefit from it. Could they not see that you got some benefit? Or they were not able really to see your benefit?
Well, maybe somehow they're able, but not really able to admit it or something.
Yeah.
Like, how to show it? I mean, I can show them the things that I'm doing or something like that, and of course they see the creativity and the value like this, and they might feel the silence around me also, but I don't know, they don't have an understanding about it really. There's like they can't put it into their view, and their view is only, we don't know what you're doing, but it's very weird and we don't want to be involved in any of these things.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, it's strong, it's very strong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's strong because I can feel their judgments, and I can feel that somehow their hearts are very close to not only my parents but the whole family. And I talked about it and asked, what's going on, and I can feel the judgments there. And I don't feel comfortable with it. I said, I don't feel comfortable with it. And then they also admitted it. They admitted same thing like you said just now. Well, you're never sending birthday cards, and you never, at Christmas you don't come home. And of course the whole family is like kind of, talking about that and not really agreeing with it. But yeah, what to do? I mean, I can just tell them, well, it's in some way your decision, and I'm sorry, it's just not so much my thing, and they know it, that Christmas or something's not so much my thing. But whenever I come, and I see them, I see the grandparents. What else could I do? But for me, I just really recognize that it's really, I mean, of course, there's a part, we call it inner child or something, that feels hurt about it, but I could just clearly see that it's also so much about them and the whole thing. I don't know, it's really about them, a decision in them if they want to open. I mean, they have so much distrust in life, and this 10,000, whatever, it has a meaning. It has a deeper meaning for them if they want to, if they want to open and kind of join this energy, which is very vibrant, a life loving energy. And it's just a question, do they want to join it? Do they want to say yes to it and forget about their thing? But yeah.
Okay, so we'll see you soon, probably.
Yes.
Okay, so let's think, where do we go now? Oh, I guess we go onto the gallery. Okay. Okay, so I'd like to bring us to the text which I was on my email for tonight. It's I think it's the second text that I've been offering from this new kind of treasure trove of Ramana Maharshi dialogue. So the manuscript, which you can download if you want from Amazon, is called Aham Swarana, which means self-realization. Self-realization. So this is a huge manuscript, unformatted and unedited manuscript, where there are many. I would say the majority of the manuscript is dialogue between a guest and Ramana. He was available every day, and so he has like he had a continuous satsang going, and people would come in and sit down and ask some questions. Probably the people who lived with him were not asking very many questions, I think. So the questions were coming more from people who were visiting as guests for a few days, or maybe a bit longer than a few days. And many of you have been to Arunachala. There's a famous mountain with a very old temple at the foot of the mountain. The temple was reputed to have started about 2,000 years ago. And so it's a very strong, energetic place. And Ramana, as a young man, was drawn to that place. And in his life, he never left that place. And the ashram itself has published 2 books of his dialogues. And suddenly, in the last few months, somebody has put up on Amazon about 1,500 pages. So when it would be formatted and edited, it would be getting on for about 1,750 pages or even 2,000 pages. So it's a huge manuscript. And I've been personally very touched. There's lots of, in the beginning, there are lots of funny stuff. And so I didn't really get involved in that. I went straight into just selecting any dialogue which touched me. And I've been formatting and editing. I have somebody helping me proofread. So now I have a whole bunch of text ready, and I'm going to put these up slowly on my blog and introduce them at these weekly meetings. And I would say these are on particularly important aspects of awakening, because of course Ramana Maharshi he wasn't giving sort of psychological advice. He was encouraging people to become free. And so he has a particular subject. Every day he was talking about self-realization. So today, somebody from the West, this is probably happening in 1936. It says July 1936. So in that time, there was the beginning of Western people coming to this ashram. So in those days, it would have been still a very simple ashram. Most of the buildings would have been bamboo huts, and the area around the ashram would have been kind of jungle. And the weather in those days was very dry. So it would have been a very dry, almost desert-like surroundings to a small ashram, mostly built out of bamboo. And mostly it would have been a few Indian people living there. So it's nothing at all like what you can find if you would go there nowadays, where the whole ashram has been built in stone and the whole area around has been built up by houses and shops. And of course, there is a whole spiritual kind of festival going on there now. So the way you would perceive it now and the way it was in Ramana's days is completely, completely different. And these Western people were being attracted to come there because of a book. So there was a book called In Search of something India, Search of Spiritual India, something like that. And out of that book being published, many Western people came there. And today's dialogue is with one of these Western people. And he asked Bhagwan, does the Jnani have no sensory perception? And his answer was, the sensation is there, but not the idea. I'm feeling this sensation. The Jnani state can be correctly comprehended only by the Jnani. So Jnani means a self-realized person. So this is actually a very, very difficult subject tonight, because whatever I'm going to say tonight, you may think you understand, but unfortunately you don't, or most of you don't understand, because you can't understand what it's like when you are still very much attached to being a somebody who recognizes the I-ness inside. When you recognize this I-ness inside, then you can't really understand how it could be that he might stub his toe on a stone and he would feel a sensation about that, but it wouldn't have any place to land. It's like it wouldn't really land. If that makes sense, but probably it doesn't make sense. So talking to this Western person wasn't so easy. And he's saying later, someone else is moving the strings. There's no such thing called I, which has any role to play anywhere with reference to the Jnani's action. So of course, if you're identified with being a somebody, what he's talking about doesn't make sense, because he's talking about he feels as if he's a puppet and somebody is controlling the string. And of course, this man immediately wants to know who is controlling these strings, who is the puppeteer, you know? And this is the crux of the whole thing, you know? This is the crux, because what or who, I mean, there's no who, of course, but what is the puppeteer is existence itself. You see, the truth of our life is that we are, if you like, how can I say? Well, I continue to use his image. We're puppets being activated by the divine existence. And this is not really understandable. When this comes to be your life, then it's immediately understandable and you have no question about it. But when you are still living day by day, identified with being a somebody who has ideas, somebody has beliefs, and so on, like, for example, Owen was now telling us about his parents. I mean, they're actually concerned now, they're middle-aged people, they're concerned about their old age, and they see that their darling son is not going to be there in their old age, maybe, to take care of them. So how could they possibly lend him 10,000 because they need every euro they can get to look after their old age, you see? So somehow this is how we live, how most human beings live. They're absolutely living in a system of beliefs. And of course, beliefs are very, very powerful because they bring us into conflict with people. So, for example, I remember the story about Ramana Maharshi, where he was told that there was some criminals in the ashram and they were taking away some of the tools that they were using to build the ashram, you know, things like a spade or pickaxe or, I don't know, hammers and screwdrivers. Somebody had come and was taking these things away. And Ramana said, okay, they probably need them more than we need them, so let them take them. You see? So this is probably not the attitude that Om's parents are going to have tonight if somebody breaks into their garden shed and takes the tools. You see, the police will be there in the morning and there'll be a big fuss. So there's a certain attitude where I can remember the first building that was built on the ashram, at the ashram, was a cow shed, because Ramana had a special cow Lakshmi, and Lakshmi means abundance. So he wanted to build a very nice cow shed for Lakshmi, and all the people in the ashram, particularly his brother, who was the manager of the ashram, said, what are you doing? You know, we're all living in bamboo huts and you're building this huge stone stables for the cow, you know? And Ramana was completely clear that that's what's going to happen. And that's what they did. And, you know, now you can go there, you can see how that was the first building, but many, many other much bigger buildings came later. And somehow the money to build all these buildings came later. And then Ramana, of course, was living in enormous trust that it was all going to work. It would all work. So when he was asked who this mysterious someone else was, he answered, some call him God. And then, ignoring this primary question of what his self is, he goes around questioning everything else, right? And he's going on to say, the truth is that there is no thing to see because there is no one to see anything. The explanation of God being in control of the world's events is kindergarten level spiritual advice. The Jnani who does not see anything has no questions. He knows the truth, that nothing was ever created, that nothing was ever created. So that's the most shocking statement tonight, yeah? Nothing was ever created. So you've heard me talk about this before, because my own teacher, Papaji, he had 3 volumes of his life, and the title he gave was Nothing Ever Happened. So the ultimate truth is nothing ever happened, right? Nothing ever happened. And that nothing was ever created. So this is so mind-blowingly confronting that actually, you know, you can't even begin to understand it. We have a couple of very nice volunteers tonight in the community. And I was talking to one of them today, and I was basically inviting him to join the community if he wanted to, because everybody in the community finds him very, very nice and would like to have him living with us. And he apparently probably also would like to live with us. We don't know really. And then almost in the same moment, he introduces this question about, guess what? Vaccination. You see? So this idea that, you know, I have to vaccinate, or I don't have to vaccinate, or I believe in vaccination, or I don't believe in vaccination, this is not even, I'm not even ready to give energy to it. You see? And I have an opinion, and as the teacher of this community, I've given the advice 3 times that everybody will get vaccinated. And of course, now this is a big problem for him, because not only does he have to decide he wants to live in our community, he has to decide if he wants to get vaccinated to live in our community. You see? And I haven't got to meet the other guy yet, but probably I'll meet him tomorrow. And he's almost certainly got even bigger beliefs that he won't want to let go of. You see? So although apparently Daniel thinks this is the most perfect community that he's always been looking for, when he gets confronted by all his beliefs, no chance, you see, can't even enter the door, let alone deal with his beliefs. You see? So this is very, very confronting, and I understand, of course, it's very, very confronting. Like Rajan is here tonight helping me, and for many actually years, I think it was, he was the world's greatest meditator. So at any moment, you'd find him sitting with his eyes rolling round and round in a deep meditation. And one day, it took me a few years actually, but one day I plucked up courage and told him, stop meditating. You know, you don't need to meditate anymore. You've done enough, you see. And this was like, wow, it's like the ceiling fell down nearly, you see, the ceiling fell down. So this is quite a sweet game for John David, because somehow his whole role in life is to put a pin in the balloon of every single belief. You see, I just have to find the right moment to put the pin in the balloon, because if not, poof, person disappears down the road before I have time to take my needle out. You see, so this is a sort of delicate operation. You know, very delicate, when to put the pin in the balloon, see? And I was incredibly bad at that in the very beginning. I would attract, in the beginning, I was quite successful. I was in Australia, in Sydney. And I used to get quite a bunch of people coming to my meetings. And in those days, it just was obvious to me, everybody would want to hear the truth, you know, and in order to get the truth, you had to let go of your beliefs. So, you know, I used to come to my meetings with a whole bag full of pins. And then at the end of the meeting, people would rush away and I'd never see them again. And I didn't really understand what had happened, until gradually I realized you have to be very, very careful with the pins, because if you put the pin in the wrong moment, you get a very strong reaction. So anyway, So he was asked at some point how to be the self. So that was a good question. And Ramana has a brilliant answer. He says, you, as the personal self, are sitting on top of the real self. Get up and clear off. That will do it. See, very simple, but almost impossible to do it. See, it's almost impossible to do it. You just have to give up the personal self, right? And then sitting gently, very patiently beneath that is the true self. And once you let go of this, all the aspects of the personal self, which means also all your beliefs, once that can all go, then just by itself, the true self emerges, because the true self has always been there. You are the true self. And the personal self doesn't really exist. You think it exists and you hold on to it very, very strongly. And because you're doing that, the true self can't really appear. It may appear occasionally. So you have kind of glimpses, and then you say, oh, I had a spiritual experience. I felt really amazing after dinner last night. I was sitting there doing nothing at all. And suddenly I felt really amazingly beautiful. Wow, I had such a great spiritual experience last night. Of course, it doesn't last so long because you have so much attachment to who you think you are. There's not really any chance that that experience can become your very life, you see. But all those times when you had some really deep moments, in a way, are the opportunity to understand what has been spoken about tonight, you see, because you had your own moment of being a Jnani. I mean, of course, we wouldn't be calling you a Jnani if you have a few minutes of glimpse. It doesn't make you a Jnani, but it shows you the potential that every human being has to live in what he's calling the truth, the true self. So self-realization means a process where you realize the self and you don't unrealize the self. So you come to a point where all the personal part of your identity simply falls away. It simply disappears by itself at a certain point, and you are left with your true nature, the true self. And the possibility for every human being is that we can live in that every day of our life. And then when that would happen, you can call yourself a Jnani if you want, but probably that's not a good idea living in Europe. But anyway, you can know and you can experience in every moment of your life this sense of being a puppet, God's puppet, you see. And of course, as we've been brought up to be very independent, who wants to be God's puppet? You know, sounds very disempowering to be God's puppet. But in fact, it's very, very beautiful, because God actually is an enormously powerful energy. And when you're completely open to that powerful energy, you manifest also a lot of power. And this manifests as what we can call love, and it manifests as what we can call power and what we can call peace, these kind of words. So this is actually an enormous gift and an enormous possibility. And the only thing that really prevents us living with that is this identification we have to a separate self. And this separate self manifests through all our ideas, you know, which we hold on to very strongly. I can see there's several people tonight who have strong ideas about not being vaccinated. You know? It's okay, enjoy your ideas, you know, they're just one more stone blocking the flow of this life energy through you. But I'm not going to talk about it, so don't please anybody dare mention vaccinations tonight. Only I'm allowed to use that word. So he was asked on the last page, he was asked, how can that be done? How can I let go of the personal self? Permanently cease to believe in the existence of the personal self. Then the magic will unwind of its own accord. Stop the belief in the personal self. And this is not something you can do easily, because that's one of the fundamental beliefs that almost every human being is running along with. Who am I? This was Ramana's famous question. Who am I? Investigate this idea of a personal self. And then he was asked again, of course. And he answered, you are not asked to believe in anything. When asked to abandon all belief, you ask which belief you should take up instead. I said, cease to believe in the existence of the personal self. Right? Very clear statement. In the next time, I will introduce his technique of self-inquiry, because he very often in this document is talking about self-inquiry. So his if you like, preferred spiritual practice was to suggest that people did what he called self-inquiry. So you investigate about this personal I. You investigate the reality of this personal I. And when you start to investigate it, you find that you have more and more glimpses of something that is not the personal I. And this thing that you're glimpsing is, in fact, the true self, which manifests actually very easily. It's not far away. It's very close. It's always very close. Okay, so maybe somebody would like to respond. So I remind you of this quote: permanently cease to believe in the existence of the personal self. Then the magic will unwind of its own accord.
Hello.
Who is that?
Diane.
Can you say who's speaking? I don't.
Diane is speaking. Can't you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I didn't know it was you. Hang on a minute.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
It's kind of a riddle, like you have to let go, but who is letting go?
Right, right. Yeah, that's why you have to kind of nudge in that direction of letting go slowly, because as you say, who is there to let go? And this is where we're using words which somehow is paradoxical. But after what, 8 or 10 years of this letting go, you're now understanding everything I spoke tonight. I think it's all like easy peasy for you. So if you would have gone back in time to 1936, you could have walked in and sat down, and you and Ramana would have been able to merge in a wonderful silence together. And I think you wouldn't have been asking this question. So some other European was probably a European was asking these questions. Probably an Englishman, because there were lots of English running around in India in those days. So probably was some English guy, and he was asking these kind of questions, and of course not really accepting the answers, because he couldn't have accepted the answers. It was, as he said, it's very paradoxical. He says, I failed to comprehend the example. Seems very paradoxical.
Yeah, you can't talk about it.
Right.
There are no words for it. It's more a kind of an energy that points to it.
Yeah. And I think in the everyday life, when you go about a typical life, you can often meet people that seem to be living in that when you meet them. Just for a moment here or there, you can meet somebody in the market, maybe selling socks or something. You just have a moment with that person, and yeah, for no obvious reason, you meet each other in a very deep place, talking about socks or something. So I think this is not so far away as it might seem when we talk about it like we are tonight. It's actually something that happens in the life. You can suddenly bump somebody and you meet in this deep place, and you realize, wow, that that market stall holder in the market, he seems to really be there in that moment.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it does happen a lot, and it's not esoterical or religious or something else. It's just
simple human life. I was living in Japan 40 years ago, and I remember one of the fashion companies in Japan, and in those days they were just beginning to discover English, and they would take some English words like a slogan. And I remember on one of the billboards in Tokyo was this simple human life, simple human life. And this was I think some kind of fashion company making, I don't know, everyday clothes or something. Simple human life. So have you had a meditation evening this week?
Yeah, yesterday was
yeah.
Wow.
What happened?
Yeah, lots of energy there.
Yeah. And you had a small group of people came?
Yeah, 5 this time, 5 people.
Wow, you've only been doing it for 2 or 3 weeks. You already got 5 people.
Yeah, it's fun. But I'm not doing anything. It's all...
Probably Maha's paying them to come, to keep you happy.
Just sitting down there and then...
Wow, well, I mean, 5 is very good, yeah. It won't be long before you'll have 25.
Yeah.
Right. Very
With
nice.
the guru's blessing, everything was going really good.
Yeah. I think you'll enjoy it more than selling T-shirts.
That's more.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's see if there's anybody else. Is there any responses from somebody else?
I have a I have a question.
Okay.
So Ramana is saying that we should cease to believe in the existence of a personal self, of the I thought. And I read something from Nisargadatta yesterday, who was saying just only focus or only hold in mind the I am, and let it unfold or something, he was saying. And today in meditation, it felt like, I don't know, like just everything kind of dissolved, but there was this focal point, and so I focused on this focal point, which seemed to be like this perspective, this I perspective. And there was this question, is it can you like, by focusing on this I thought, can you destroy the I thought, or how can you destroy?
No. I mean, aham's pharana. Aham is I am, like the self, I am.
Yes.
But you can't destroy the personal I. You have to go back to where does the thought arise from. You need to go back to the source of the I. That's the basic principle of his self-inquiry, is to track back the thought to where it arose from. And it always rises from the self. It always comes from the self. So by doing this question, where did that thought come from? The answer is it came from the self. And if you keep on doing it, you're doing it many times, it's like you're driving your mind back to the source of the mind. There isn't really such a thing as mind. The mind is all these thoughts. But you want to go back to the source of the thoughts, which is the self. The self is the source of all the thoughts. And usually we're identifying, as soon as a thought comes, we identify with that thought as my thought. And so the my is very strong all the time. And to break that, we need to go back to the source of the thoughts, where there is no identification possible anymore. It's a kind of subtle thing. And it's also a bit paradoxical, because in the beginning of that, they call it Vishara. In India, they call it Vishara. It means self-inquiry. In the beginning of doing this self-inquiry practice, which is you just have to do it. You have to use your mind to go back. You have to use your mind. And then gradually, when you keep on with this process, you find it does by itself. It goes by itself. So it's not really the mind anymore going back. It just becomes kind of automatic, you can say. By itself, it goes back. And then you realize that the thoughts get less and less. At the same time, the thoughts are getting less and less. So these two things are working after a time by themselves. And so this is, in a way, melting away or biting away chunks of our identification with the personal me.
Mm.
And Ramana, I think it was last week I was talking about he was also inviting people just to surrender to the self. And that you just surrender to the self, that's in a way a simpler approach. If you do that, if you fall deeply into deep surrender, that everything is, if you like, God, everything is God. And you surrender into that with an enormous kind of yes. But also in the beginning, when some sort of thought arises, which is not actually surrendered, then you challenge it with your mind and say, no, I'm completely surrendered to God. Even when you're not surrendered to God, you just keep on, keep on doing it, if you like. You do it in the beginning. You're doing surrender, and then there comes a moment when you're really surrendering. There's no more doing of surrender anymore. And both things are coming basically to the same thing. Both ways are allowing the personal I to disappear. Can't hold on to the personal I anymore.
I wanted to share. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
When I was in Denia, so it was after a morning meditation, and yeah, it was just a meditation where I kind of came into a very, very deep contentment, very deep peace, and then kind of going back to daily activity from this meditation, I could really feel this that there was almost like no connection between this peace and kind of what I was doing, or my external looking, or even my personal identity. Somehow that it's this contentment was not dependent on anything that I could do or perceive or be. It was a very clear cut somehow. And I can see if this becomes more permanent, then I can see this this analogy of a puppet, that this outer thing is just happening and it's not really affecting the source of who you are, or it's not important.
I remember, it's funny how things happen. When I was about 18, I was desperately trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, what kind of job I wanted. And it seemed terribly important for me when I was 18 that I got to figure this out, And I had a teacher, a woman teacher, I think she was actually the chemistry teacher, who I kind of trusted. Somehow I trusted her. And so I asked her, and she said, it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, it doesn't matter. Right? And I'm completely shocked. I was completely shocked by this statement. And now I can say that, where are we? 60 years later or something, I can see that she was exactly right. I mean, probably she didn't understand it to the same position that I'm understanding it now. But what she actually said is absolutely true, because what you're really saying is very nice for me to hear, you see, because now that you're not so much meditating, I mean, there was a time when you'd be doing some job and, I don't know what it was, you'd be washing the dishes, and then you'd finish washing the dishes, and then you say to yourself, okay, now I have to meditate because I need to come back to the self. Yeah. And so that's kind of how your lifestyle was in the community. And now I suggested stop meditating. And so actually, suddenly there is this puppet who is washing the dishes. And maybe then he's driving the car or feeding the fish, and these things, these tasks are flowing, you know, one to the other through the day. And there's nobody really doing it anymore. And then you notice what you just said. It's very, very beautiful. You see? So something actually very beautiful is happening to you now, because suddenly for yourself, you can see the truth of what I was saying to you. You can see that every moment is a meditation, every moment. So this is actually, this is the truth. Every moment is a meditation. And sitting and meditating is not really meditation. It is also a meditation because we talk about it as a meditation, like Diane was just talking about his class last night. So for those people coming there, of course, you can say it like that. But if in every moment of washing the dishes and driving the car and feeding the fish, you feel an enormous peace, and yet at the same time, these tasks are just happening, and there's nobody really in charge of the show anymore. It is exactly like he's saying. You feel yourself a bit like God's puppet or something. Actually, this is very, very beautiful. Okay, well, we won't be hearing any more from Rajen tonight. So anybody else like to say something?
Hello.
Who's that?
Govinda.
Oh, Govinda. Ah, right. Well, we probably hear quite a lot from Govinda. What do you got to say, Govinda?
And in my more quiet moments, I noticed that it's actually an effort to move the body with the help of the mind. It's actually easier to just let it flow by itself.
Okay, that's a good observation.
I'm practicing this now.
Okay, well, we call it Govinda Self-Enquiry.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So how about Shakti? Would you like to share something? Are you there, Shakti?
Shakti, there should be a message on your screen now, and you just have to click the blue button, probably. Can you see it? There should be a question on the screen. The host is asking you to unmute your microphone. And you click the blue button which says approve, or there is the black menu and there's a microphone symbol, and you click on the microphone symbol on the left bottom corner of the screen. Left bottom.
Yes.
You've done it. You've done it.
Yes.
Shakti, hello.
Hello. Yes. And sometimes I will say I have this experience about being a puppet. For example, recently on my journey here, like being taken or guided, or in this very there's a very loving space to it, huh? So
weren't you sharing that it happened the other night, that you had, after the weekend, I think it was on the Sunday night, you'd got a sense you wanted just to sit quietly?
yes.
Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. But with me, it is always, like there's these openings and then there's something new coming up. So today I'm inquiring into, I have this certainly coming that I am aware again, right? This thing, and then, it is like, then I need to apply the insights on this situation. So then I struggle a bit with this. So hopefully it will deepen again. So.
Right. Okay. Thanks for sharing. Okay. Anybody else like to share something on this paradox? So fast?
Hello.
Okay. Hello.
I also, so hear me double. I also had the experience of feeling like a puppet of God in meditation, when it was only a short time, but then my breath felt like I was breathed. There was not doing it, it came. And it also was a very strong energy combined with it. And with the identity, I have the experience that there are two factors most important for me. So one is the past. Also, the past is most important, because when I really believe that there's no past, then I also believe that there's no personal identity. And the future is also important for my desires. When I have the sentence for the future, it doesn't matter. Everything doesn't matter. And so the future removes when I really believe that nothing doesn't matter. So that are my tricks for meditate.
Right. Yeah, because when you're clear that nothing matters, then you can't really hold on to any beliefs, because beliefs, most people's beliefs do matter. They have a strong influence in their choices. So if you see that it doesn't matter, then it deals with any kind of any belief structure.
Yes. And the sentence from Papaji, nothing has ever happened. When I believe that completely, in that moment, that there's a strong, not my whole identity, but not much identity left. When I believe, some moments I can believe it, that nothing ever happened.
He also said that if you say I'm free, you are free. If you say you're free, you're free.
But that doesn't work. I have to believe it completely. So
Yeah. Right. Anyway, I mean, the thing that's lovely is that it seems to me you're in India. They would say you're in the mouth of the lion. You know, the lion has already got you. You know, because you're very sincere to really look at all this stuff. Yeah?
yes.
So you're on the way to being eaten, even if you have few ideas. Okay, so anybody else like to share? And then I think we'll probably stop tonight. Is that back to you want to share? No.
Это вроде... Да, меня слышно?
Да, да.
Это вроде бы так все просто. И так
It
сложно.
sounds very simple, but at the same way it's very complicated.
У меня бывает очень часто, да, такие моменты, когда я очень легко вот, сдаюсь жизни, и я чувствую этот поток, и мне вообще не составляет никакого труда ну, вот отдаться этому потоку.
I have so many moments in my life when I just surrender and follow the flow, and I don't have any resistance and difficulties to do it.
Right, right. Yeah, I think this is really your way. You know, that's why I gave you the name Bhakti. I mean, you have this devotion to God in a way, to life itself. It's like a natural phenomena for you.
На самом деле, вот потому я тебе дал имя Бхакти, потому что, в принципе, это как природный феномен в твоей жизни, твоя вот эта вот сдача.
Да, но у меня бывает и такая другая очень сильная сторона, когда у меня очень много вот сопротивления, суждения. И я иногда вижу, ну, может, я даже сложно сказать, я сейчас попытаюсь это.
Сейчас я переведу, давай сначала, хорошо это. But at the same time, I also have the other part when I'm in total resistance, when I have so many judgments, and I'm trying to explain you just in more details.
Yeah, I mean, the other night on Sunday when Indira and I were talking to you.
Каким-то вечером Индира говорила тебе
I was
что-то.
saying, well, you know, now that we've got the government has increased electricity costs by double, we'll have to put our prices up by 8%.
Когда мы говорили о том, что государство подняло цены на электричество, то и зашла речь о том, чтобы поднять цены на отели там, на 8% тоже.
And suddenly there was fire and smoke came out of your everywhere, you know.
И все время как у тебя такой огонь и дым поднялся отовсюду.
Но не только поэтому, там много было разного, поэтому...
Not just because of that, because I have so many reasons.
So
Not
many
only
what?
that. Reasons, other reasons.
Okay.
У меня вот такой как бы внутренний какой-то вопрос возникает, где вот я сдаюсь, допустим, себе, где этот баланс сдачи себе, вот, то есть доверие себе, своим ощущениям и доверие тому, что извне мне, ну, как бы вообще все одно понятно, ну, вот что-то мне вот жизнь говорит, вот, допустим, сделать вот так, вот в данном случае там Джон Дэвид говорит сделать так, но вот у меня внутри какая-то есть часть, которая чувствует, что, ну, это должно быть по-другому. И где вот этот баланс, я еще не знаю. Ну, то есть ничему доверять.
So I'm a bit confused how to find this balance, because at the same time you're saying you should trust yourself and follow it, but when the life, for example, in like you're saying you should do it exactly indifferent, and how shall I understand which part I should surrender, because I have this feeling and you're trying to me to do it another way.
Well, when you're in a dilemma, you trust John David.
Дилемма в том, чтобы доверять Джон Дэвиду.
Да я же понимаю, что мы здесь как раз поэтому. То есть там бизнес, там все остальное, это же не столь важно. Важно вот как раз доверять мастеру. И вот с этим у меня какая-то штука возникла. Вот я ее увидела, и у меня много есть сопротивления.
So anyway, just like taking into consideration that we like have some businesses and we need to figure out everything, yeah. But the main thing that we understood, I'm here and I'm with master that I should trust. And at this moment, I understood that I have something in it, and I'm not pretty sure that I'm truly surrendered.
Well, you weren't very surrendered on Sunday because you got very angry and pissed off about this 8%, you know.
Ты не была очень сдана мне там, потому что ты очень расстроилась из этих 8%.
Да.
But for example, in I think yesterday, I don't know exactly, in the last day or two, there was a big seminar wanted to come on the 20th of November, and they cancelled this date.
Я не помню, какой-то там семинар был, который должен был приехать в 20-х числах ноября, и они отменили.
And somehow, almost in the same moment, you got a new seminar with 30 people coming for the same weekend.
И это сегодняшняя ситуация, когда Мирабай отменили, а вот это 30 плюс человек нарисовались.
Ну да, в процессе.
It's still in process, it's pending, it's not confirmed yet.
Okay. Well, it probably will happen, I think. So, for example, with Lavanya, I asked her to go and visit this honey company and buy some more of their meadow honey.
Например, я сказала Лаване, что тебе нужно поехать в этот мед-шмет и купить больше лугового меда этого.
And on the phone they said, no, we won't sell you any more.
А по телефону они сказали, нет, мы не продадим вам больше.
And when she was there, they said, okay, and they gave it to her.
А когда она была там, они сказали, окей, и продали его.
So that was quite nice, but then something even better happened.
Это было очень хорошо, потому что потом что-то другое даже больше произошло.
Because then it turns out that they have a friendly bus driver who drives to Cologne in Germany. And this friendly bus driver, every time he will bring 20 cages of honey, you know, under his blanket. I don't know where he keeps it. But anyway, now we've found out how we can have honey delivered from Ukraine to Germany without putting it in our excess luggage on the plane, which is a bit crazy.
А потом, когда я там с ним общалась и разговорилась, и он рассказал, короче, такую историю, что у него есть водитель автобуса, который может 20 килограмм меда провозить под полом. И, в принципе, теперь нам не придется возить его в чемоданах, возможно, но мы еще с ним это обсуждаем, если что, между нами так пока.
It just happened somehow.
Это просто произошло каким-то образом.
So when these kind of things are happening in your life, you can get the understanding that in fact you are surrendered.
И когда ты понимаешь, что такие вещи происходят в твоей жизни, что ты сдался.
Да.
Yes.
Я вижу эту тонкую грань. Ну, как я даже не столько вижу, даже чувствую ее, но очень часто я еще западаю в какие-то суждения. Мне кажется, что это что-то вот странное, вот какие-то странные поручения. Я на это реагирую. Да, сынок. Угу. Вот.
Okay.
And yes, but still I have this tiny moments when I just react to them because I've not agree with them, and that's why the strong creation coming from like a resistance.
Yeah, and you can ask yourself who doesn't agree.
И тебе нужно спросить, кто не согласен.
Этим и занимаюсь.
I'm working on it.
Okay, иначе я сошла с ума.
Otherwise, I would be completely mad.
Okay. Okay, very nice. So I'm going to finish now. Thank you, everybody. We had a nice evening. And I think next week it's on Tuesday evening, I'm doing the next Zoom. And I'll put up another dialogue from Ramana for next Tuesday. Ciao. Ciao.